team rap Jesus. We about to go far. My team rap Jesus. My team go hard. My team rap Jesus. We about to go far. We about to go far.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Fervently Creation Marketplace Ministry. We are still in our month of just bringing on special guests. And so far here lately, our special guest has been coming from the anthology, I'm Not Okay. Listen, this is an anthology. We had several authors that wrote, and they were just transparent and talking about how at one point in their life, they were not okay. And so with these, let's congratulate all these authors of this book, co-authors of this book, in becoming bestsellers. These are now best-selling authors, as the book did rank in several places on Amazon. So I want to congratulate all those that have wrote with us. And I'm telling you, this book is amazing. It is definitely amazing how they all poured out, how they also encourage, how they was open enough to even be transparent enough to actually help others in what they went through, right? A lot of times we go through stuff and we have to realize that sometimes it's not for us. Sometimes it's just that we are strong enough to go through it, because some people that go through the same things that we went through, they probably would not have survived it. If some people walk down the same path that we walked down later on in their life or whatever, it might have destroyed them. The enemy may have did. And so our lessons going through this, and the fact that we were strong enough to get through it, to go through it, has actually made it to where we can go back and tell people, hey, this is how I got through it. This is what you need. These are the tools that I use. This is how you survive this thing. Let me tell you, I used to watch this show called Intervention, right? And once I watched it, I had started to see how a lot of people that had been through some of the things that I went through, they did not survive it. They end up being strung out on drugs, or it was alcohol or whatever. So I went home this weekend, got a chance to celebrate my mother. Happy belated birthday to her as well, but got a chance to spend and celebrate my mother for her birthday. She's going to tell you she's 16. Sometimes she tell you she's 21. I think I heard her tell the story. I ain't gonna say she told the other word, but she told a story saying that she was 36. But I think those numbers are actually flipped around a little bit. She's actually 63, but don't tell nobody that I told her age on all of thing. Hey, I'm sorry, y'all. Look, sometimes you see some people and you like, hey, how are you? And so, but with that, I tell you, that just brightened my whole day, just seeing that face right there, that name, just period. But anyway, so with that, I got a chance to sit down and I was talking to my aunt, and I was telling someone, I said, my aunt walked the path to where I didn't have to go through, because if I would have went through the path that she walked, I would not have survived it. The streets would have ate me alive. And I was on my way in that direction. I was out there. I was stripping. I was prostituting, doing all that type of stuff, right? So I was living that lifestyle, but it would have led me also into a lifestyle of addiction. It could have led me into a lifestyle to where I was strung out. It could have led me out into a lifestyle that I was just completely out there left, and I would not have survived it. So in that process of me out there stripping, me out there prostituting, my aunt had called me and she said, hey, Tisha May, she said, what you doing? I was like, getting ready to go do a show. And she said, girl, been there, done that, got a t-shirt, da. She was talking like that. And then she said, you know what? She said, but you're better than me. She said, you don't have to do what I did. And so when she said that, it empowered me, it encouraged me, because she was first telling me, hey, you don't have to do that. I already did that. I already did that for our bloodline. I already did that for our generation. You don't have to do it. You don't have to do it. And so sometimes some people need to know what you did. They need to know how and we have to be transparent. You're not going to reach nobody with these little cute testimonies and sit here acting like you ain't never slept with nobody's husband before. Come on. You're not going to be able to reach nobody acting like you ain't never tried no type of drug. You're not going to reach anybody with just acting like you ain't never been through depression. You're not going to reach people with these cute testimonies and acting like you ain't never been there, right? We have to start being transparent. So that is this, what these are to me. This is books full of people that is just willing to be transparent and tell their story. Tell their story, because my story is not your story, and your story may not be somebody else's story, but our voices is all called for somebody. So, and speaking of that, let me talk to you real quick. Listen, I'm going to be in Huntsville, Alabama, along with some of these amazing authors that co-authored with me. We're going to be in Huntsville, Alabama, June 21st to June 23rd. Just, I'm not sure if she's still here, but message me if you're still on here. Because one thing that I said I was going to do with each one of these shows that we was doing, I was going to gift out a ticket. So just if you're still on here, let me know. Message me, and I'm going to, you'll be the person that I will release the free ticket to come to the conference. So this conference is where we do marketplace ministry, because let me tell you, a lot of people are stuck in their business and all this other type stuff because of mental health or whatever. So we're going to hit first marketplace ministry. We're going to connect. You're going to see who actually labor amongst you. We're going to go in and make sure we make some divine kingdom appointments and all of that stuff. Okay, Jess, I got you. I'm going to make sure I get you a free ticket to the conference. So our first night is our formal day. We do our red carpet. We're going to have the local radio station there. WEUP is going to be on the red carpet. We're going to have Anointed Radio, another network that I've been kind of co-laboring with as well. So they're going to be on the red carpet. Make sure you bring your formal gowns and all that type of stuff. Get cute that day. On that day, Saturday and Sunday, I don't care if you come out there in your bonnet and your house shoes, because I don't care how you look on your outside. We're trying to heal the inside, right? So with that, we're going to talk about mental health, because let's talk about it, okay? A lot of times we think that only thing we need to do is tell somebody, hey, I'm going to pray for you and blah, blah. It takes a little bit more than that. Sometimes we need someone to help us process what is going on mentally. Another thing that we will talk about that day is mindset shifts. A lot of times we are still stuck in our business. We're still stuck in relationships. We're still stuck in our finances. We're still struggling in our finances. We are still in certain places. Why? Because our mindset haven't shifted on the way that we see a thing. We hadn't shifted on the way that we see ourselves or how we perceive other people. And so because of that, we stay stuck. We stay trapped into in a certain place. So that is another thing in which we are going to talk about, and we're going to shift is our mindset. And then we're also going to do a little bit of deliverance, because let's think about, hey, some stuff is spiritual. Some stuff is spiritual, but I do want to make sure we get over the fact that though we're doing deliverance, I want everybody to understand that not everything is a demon, baby. Everything is not a demon. Some stuff is just your mindset. And once your mindset begin to shift, everything else after that will begin to change and begin to transform in your life. So if you're saying, okay, Tish, what does all this look like? I'm going to give you a quick preview of what it was like last year. And then after that, I'm going to bring up these amazing guests, and we're going to talk a little bit about I'm not being okay. Hello, Kelly. How are you doing? I mean, look, I'm just happy. Anyway, let me tell you, that right there is a powerful woman of God, and she also understands marketplace ministry. But yes, how you doing, Kelly? 1 second. Awesome. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Let's get to these amazing authors of the book, I'm Not Okay. So I have Minister Shaqetta with us. Hi, how you doing, Queen?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And my fellow soldier on the battlefield, Ra-Quel, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm awesome. I'm going to give y'all a moment for y'all to introduce yourself, and then we're just going to dive in and just begin to talk, chat it up as if we're sitting here with coffee. I have drunk all my juice, and so hopefully somebody in my household is watching and they're going to bring me something up here to drink. But we're going to sit here as if we're sitting here talking over a hot cup of tea or a nice cold glass of iced tea, one of them. And so first, Minister Shaqetta, tell them who they have the pleasure of sitting before them today.
I am Minister Shaqetta Edgar. I'm an author of 5 anthologies. I'm also in another anthology with Dr. Tish, which is how I met her. And I'm just so glad to be here today to be able to tell a part of my story. I began ministry in 2018 from my home, and actually started ministry before then. I just didn't know it. So that is a bit about me. I'm currently getting going through a program of mental health right now to become certified as a mental health coach as well.
Awesome, awesome. Yes, hold on. She said that she is a co-author. Let me correct. Hey, she is a multi best-selling and international best-selling author. She really just downplayed herself for the people. She is a multi international and best-selling author. So with that, Ra-Quel, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, ma'am. I am Ra-Quel Johnston. I'm also happy to be here and be a part of this you said multi-million dollar
That
author. I have published poetry before, but this is the first anthology I've ever done, and I'm currently working on a few books right now. And then other than that, I'm just enjoying the retired life. I'm a 20-year vet of the United States Marine Corps, and I'm just happy to be here.
Awesome, awesome. Let me tell you, it's totally different coming over into kingdom sometime coming out of the military. And then, well, we think it is, and then we start realizing some of the things that God was training us through, teaching us through in the military was preparing us actually for kingdom work. How did it look? Like I said, we jumping straight into it. How do you feel as that once it comes to how we had to mentor others as leaders? And then once you're coming over into kingdom and having to mentor and help, having to encourage others that are going through in different lives as they go through different challenges, different battles and stuff. How do you use your background that way to help you once it comes to encouraging people? For example, of the individual that you wrote about, Faith, how do you find that that relation that it correlates together?
I feel like, you have to actually get to know individuals, get to know their personalities, where they're from, things they like and dislike. And then you also have to tailor your leadership as well, because one person can take something one way and then somebody can take something a different way. And, you try to convey, the help you're trying to help them with. Each situation dictates itself. So one thing I did was, I try to, get to know everyone that I work with. And that way I can say, okay, well, let me approach this way. And I do that even in my civilian, life. You gotta, listen to people to understand where they're going, what they're going through. And then, it's so many resources to figure out, it's so many resources you can use or to send someone to get some kind of help. Oh gosh, I have so much to say. It's like it's not coming out the way I wanted to.
That's fine. That's fine. So and like you said, we do have to listen to people. And sometimes the stuff that we have went through, as I was saying earlier, like sometimes the things that we went through, it does help us to be able to encourage others, but it also give us a passion. It gives us a drive. Just like you, Shaqetta, I'm also a mental health coach, but also a life coach as well. If anything, I would probably say I'm more of a forgiveness and a forgiveness and repentance coach, but definitely one that coach people into forgiveness, because sometimes it keeps them bound. So with that, we're talking about how sometimes things that you go through, it gives you a passion. And as you wrote in your chapter, I need help, like it gives you a passion to help others. So how did you needing help give you a passion to move forward to now that you are actually a mental health coach?
Going through that process of needing help, it teach me how to have compassion for myself. First of all, I realized that I was my own worst critic when it comes to things that have happened in the past. I had to learn how to forgive myself. And as you learn how to forgive yourself, you can pass on that same forgiveness and that same compassion to other people. And as you mentor or coach other people, you can help them focus on the same things as well. So um, sometimes, even if you do go on to be like a coach or studies and everything like that, become certified, it's in a lot of us to do that. There's a lot of people out here that are professionals because they went through some kind of traumatic experience. And by them going through that experience, that is what, for myself personally, that is what allows me to be able to give different people advice.
That's good. That's good. So, Ra-Quel, in your chapter, you was talking about Faith, who Faith started going through traumatic experience after traumatic experience after traumatic experience, and Faith actually started this actually in her childhood. So, a lot of times, a lot of us that begin to experience some things, and again, like I said, everything's not this, not a demon. It just like everything is not the devil, but we do know that sometimes the enemy will attack people in their childhood to keep them from to start going ahead and damaging, causing something to causing them not to actually walk into their identity, questioning who they are as early in their childhood. And some of us, I had wrote in one anthology. I want to say it was one that me and you were in together, Shaqetta. But I had wrote in one of just talking about how some of us had forcefully had demons put into us through through sexual abuse, through childhood abuse, through molestation, through rape, before we was old enough to even know how to tie our shoes, right? And so sometimes the enemy comes in and attack us at such a young age through molestation, through rape, or through inappropriate touching, to cause us to not even to cause us to question us, and also to keep us to shut our mouth. And so, Ra-Quel, when she was talking, you was talking about Faith, right? And it was one situation where Faith was threatened in reference to opening her mouth, doing something was done to her to keep her from shutting her mouth. Can you just kind of talk about that, but also encourage those that have had their mouth shut at a young age?
Well, at a young age, we're very impressionable. So I've experienced some things as well as, just listening and talking about Faith's experience. As a child, you're scared. Who do you turn to? But luckily for her, the one thing that happened is her mother walked in. So she was able to speak, and she felt that protection that her mother gave her. And one thing I do know, and I think this resonates with all of us, is that, the devil has a glimpse of our future. And that's how, he wants to shut our mouths. I'm not trying to give him all that credit, but I mean, he wants to shut our mouths, trying to destroy us in every way that he can. So with her going through that, I would definitely, it's kind of hard to say because every individual is different. With Faith in that instance, she has someone come in and actually protect her. But as she's growing and getting older and then experiencing this again, another incident happened to her, and that same person protected her. But now she's an adult and she's going through this again, and now she has no trust. She has trust issues. Mm-hmm. So it's it's just hard to say because everybody is different. I mean, I just encourage people to speak up, step out on faith and speak up regardless, because whatever you're going through, you can definitely help somebody else.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you know what? And sometimes it is so hard to speak up. And even with us as adults, for one thing, for children, right? Trying to find that safe place, but it's some part for us being an adult and having to say, you know what, I need help. Especially with you, Shaqetta, you was talking about, being on your job and having to go to human resources and saying, hey, I need help. Like I need a moment because I'm not okay. I'm not okay. And that is very hard to actually say sometimes, because normally when people ask us how we're doing, we're like, oh, I'm good. I'm okay.
Right.
Blessed and highly favored. You know what I mean? And
Yes.
actually you feel actually defeated, torn down, and neglected, misused, abandoned, rejected. You feel you feel everything opposite of blessed and highly favored. You actually feel as though God had forgotten about you, that God really, which is a title, actually, I think one of the chapters in there, God had forgotten about me. And so sometimes you feel as such as, hey, I feel forgotten about. I don't feel blessed. I don't feel highly favored. And you have to go and tell people that it makes you uncomfortable to actually, especially having to go to your employer and say, hey, I'm not okay. Encourage people in reference to that, of having to say, hey, I'm, telling your job, hey, I need a little mental break.
If anyone that's going through that situation, my encouragement would to be don't feel ashamed about it. We all go through different trials in our lives, and sometimes it's something that happened in the past that comes back up into a moment in your present life. And you sometimes you do have to tell your boss or whoever's over you in an uncomfortable moment that, hey, I need to take some time off. I got this, I got that going on, and most of the jobs today, there are benefits to help you with your mental health. And it's important to see what all benefits you have at your place of work. So in the time of need, you'll be able to access those benefits quickly. You may not think you may not need it now, but you can have it, written down somewhere for a future reference to help you. So I just would like to encourage the people, don't be ashamed to go before your boss or whoever's has the authority over you at your workplace to seek to get some help. Because if you're spaced out on the job like I was, you pretty much won't be able to do your job effectively anyway. So it's best to just take a break to try to, explain to your boss the best way you can to get help. Because you're allowed that time to do so. And they can't tell you that you can't. You can, because that's what the benefits are for. And they can't try to fire you or anything like that. So just try to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I know once I was in the military, one of the things that was hard to do was once we actually took
Mm-hmm.
once we needed that mental health, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
we would have to go to what we call behavioral health, or so. And it was actually done as a sign of weakness. And a lot of times we was going to behavioral health, not because it was sometimes family stuff. It was it was the ones that labored amongst us. It was the same ones that was on the battlefield with us that was causing us this type of grief, or causing us this type of challenge, causing us this type of pain, causing us to a point to where we felt as though we were mentally unstable. And sometimes it's not as easy, because sometimes it is your workplace, your work environment. How you were saying, I think in your chapter, Shaqetta, you had mentioned saying, hey, I need to hurry up and get off the phone before I say something unpleasant, right?
Right.
Because you're still pushing, because the bills still have to get paid, right?
Exactly.
So if sometime in the secular, something outside of government wise, if you're not there, that it affects your money, right? In the military, it was a thing that even if we, whether we was there or what, we wasn't on an hourly rate. And so it was still we would not go and get that mental help sometime. But a lot of times, it is your employers that come up against you and have you struggling mentally. Ra-Quel, Faith had the same issue.
Yes.
Can you talk to us a little bit just about Faith's issue, what happened with that?
Absolutely. Like, with her having to go to work and put on that facade like she's okay, you know, it's dang, what does she do? She also, would speak to other females who are going through this same situation that are afraid to speak up because of who these people are that are doing this stuff. In the military, we got what they call a good old boy network. It's about who you know. And you know, this becomes trust issues when you trusting somebody, especially let's say one of your bosses or something, to tell them this, and then they go behind your back, and then it makes you start to get labels put on you, and it's not fair to the person who's going to their boss to complain and say, hey, look, this is what's going on, and you're trusting this person, but then now who can you trust?
Mhm.
Who can you trust?
Right.
And with the mental health and the behavior health, she also had a behavior health specialist she went to that actually spoke about her business to people in her command. So who does she trust? So it's definitely not fair. It's a bad thing going on that definitely needs to be fixed.
Yeah. Yeah. Kelly, I want to comment on a comment that was left on social media. It says people don't leave their jobs, they leave their supervisors. This is
You're right.
this is bad. Kelly. Because here's the thing, right? And because some of us we're supervisors. Some of us are supervisors. Sometimes we are the people they're leaving, and that's because we're not okay. We're not even taking time. But sometimes we go in and we make everybody else's job hard because we're going through. Just because we're power hungry, just because we have some power trip, or we don't, are whatever it is, whatever Sometimes we go in and we take our home life out on the people that work under us or whatever. But some people are just poor leaders, poor leaders. And so you end up leaving a job because of the leadership. You have a issue more so with the leadership, and not that because of the person, their position of power. And they forget how to be compassionate for those that are working up under them. They forget to understand that, hey, this person is actually human. Only thing they care about is numbers. Only thing they care about is the production. But you don't realize that I can't produce. I can't get you those sales that you need. I can't lead these other people if I'm not mentally okay. And so I want to say, Shaqetta, that was your issue with one of your supervisors. They wasn't compassionate, were they?
It was the boss over the supervisor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, with that's stuff that we have to like really pay attention to, right? Compassion. Sometimes we need to know that we have to have compassion for others. And then even at the same time, hey, you have to understand that some of them jobs, they look at you, you are replaceable. You are replaceable to them. Expendable, whatever, like that.
Right.
Absolutely.
If you die today, they got my bad. I'm gonna go right back to you. If you die today, they got somebody to fill your position. They gonna have your job posted the next day.
Absolutely.
As soon as they get the notice, hey, she has transitioned. They already got something for your position. Go ahead, Ra-Quel. What you got on that?
I'm sorry. So, with Faith going through stuff that she went through at work, her serving in the military as well, she was also a uniform victim advocate. So speaking to the all of the military men and women, civilians or whatever, she had one young lady that actually worked for her directly. And she told her later on, that she was, being sexually assaulted. So when Faith asked, why didn't you say something? Her I'll say employee or her Marine, she said, because you already had, she was telling Faith she already had red flags on her. So she didn't want to say something and then put more red flags on her. And Faith wasn't worried about that. She was trying to take care of, the young lady. So it's sad. Like you said, you got to have that compassion. She had that compassion to put her stuff aside to take care of this person. But now that person's out, what can they do?
Yeah.
And they have a similar counter with the same person.
Yeah. And sometimes with that one, we could take on the responsibility, or we could take the guilt something, carrying the weight of something that we feel is our fault, that actually we had no control over, or even if we had control over, like that can be something that cause us to mentally go through, because we feel guilty. We feel guilt, or and stuff. And so I think, Shaqetta, you could speak more to that. Do you want to elaborate just a little bit more on the guilt and stuff that sometimes we feel behind certain things, and how that can affect us mentally? I'll let you tell that story, and talk a little bit more in depth of your story.
Um, yeah, most definitely. Sometimes guilt is from wanting to actually see about yourself, and um, being a single mom, I have to, like, I'll compare that with being a single mom. Like, I know I'm a single mom, but I still need, time to myself. Um, and it's just like with the job, for your mental health as well. Um, the job is going to be there, like whether we at home, or whether we, like you said, whether we transition, that job is going to still be there, and you're replaceable. So we need to get past that guilt part of not seeing about ourselves, because if we don't see about ourselves, we can't see about the people that's dependent on us at home, like we need to. My daughter's 11 years old. There's a lot of things she can do for herself, and a lot of things that she can't do for herself. So I have to make sure that I have myself in a position where I'm able to see about the things that she can't do on her own. um, and it goes for as far as ministry as well. Sometimes we may need to take some time off from stuff ministry wise too, to see about our mental health, and get to a point where we can do the Lord's work effectively. Because although we're going through the things of mental health, there's still some things that God is using us to do. So like the Bible tells us, don't that we shouldn't condemn ourselves, and a lot of times we do condemn ourselves, and that brings about guilt in our lives. But the word tells us that there is therefore no condemnation for those who are in Christ Jesus. So that's one of the things that I had to remind myself as well, when I'm going through things, that I don't have to place guilt on myself, and that I'm coming through that. I'm transitioning to a better place in my life, and that's what I usually tell myself. Just don't condemn myself, and I encourage other people as well not to condemn themselves. That'll bring about guilt upon you, and that's just going to make things heavier on you.
Yeah, and we have to take time to tend to ourselves, self-care, right? So
Right.
I have this thing to where before noon, I don't talk to anybody. I
Mhm.
fast from people before noon. Before
Mhm.
noon, you're not going to get me unless I happen to see something that you may have sent text, and I hear
Mhm.
from God to answer that phone call. And that's because that's my time to self. Between 9 p.m. and 12 noon, my phone is on do not disturb. I live my life kind of on do not disturb sometimes, most days anyway. But that's because I can't help anybody else if I don't take
Right.
time to pour into myself. If I don't take time to pull to fill me up. Because what happens is once you get pulled on so much, whether it's getting pulled on from being a wife, you're getting pulled on from being a mother, you're getting pulled on from ministry, you're getting pulled on the end for its business, or so you'll find yourself depleted. So when out of the 24 hours of the day are you taking time for self?
Mhm.
When are you actually taking time to say, let me fill myself up, let me make sure that I'm okay? Because if not, I'm not going to be able to do whatever else I need to do effectively. I'm not going to be efficient, nor am I going to be effective in whatever I'm doing. And so what happens is, and I see this a lot in ministry, right? Sometimes what happens is because we have poured so much out, and we're not giving people off the saucer. You know how you have you have your teacup and you have your thing or whatever. You're pouring out of here, and you're not giving them what has overfilled. I can give you what's on here. I can freely give this, but once it comes to this, I need to make sure my cup stays full, because what's going to happen is that you're going to see the stuff that I'm still dealing with, and I'm going to start giving. You're going to get my frustration. You're going to get me being easily annoyed. You're going to get areas of childhood that I'm still working on. You're going to get the areas where my mindset needs to be. So I need to constantly be being filled up. I need to constantly make sure that I'm good, because and I do not want my kids to feel that. I don't want my kids, because then they're going to grow up to people that still need healing themselves, right? So like Ra-Quel, once Faith was going through some stuff or whatever, and because her stuff, like I said, through childhood, but it was times to where her own mother was not mentally okay. And once you're not mentally okay, it makes it hard for you to actually tend to other ones that he has placed in your care. Ra-Quel, can you talk a little bit on Faith's experience with her own mother?
Generational curses. Her mother experienced the sexual trauma, being treated a certain way by, family members, or things that happened with her own mother. So Faith endured a lot of stuff that her mother was going through. Her mother didn't know how to be a mother. So, or know how to deal with a lot of the things. So she kind of like lashed out, you know. So now Faith is, grown and has children and things like that, and things that she's going through, her kids are getting the brunt of it, and it's not fair. So now she's dealing with that, and then still trying to have a relationship with her kids now, who are now grown, and trying to break those generational curses. Because you and I both know it come from the military, and it's like, we have all this stuff that we have to deal with. And then, as a leader, I used to, as a leader, we have soldiers and, Marines in our charge. So it's kind of like these young adults are like our kids at work. And I hate to say it like that, but sometimes, they do act like that. But but then you gotta, it's just hard. Like, she should be able to go to her mother and say, hey, this is what's going on. But she didn't really have that. Her mother would kind of like push her away and things like that. So how is she? She's looking to other women in her life that are strong, that are mothers, and trying to, get filled from them spiritually and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one thing to be going through mentally, but I've also went through physically, yes. Right? Mm-hmm. And so once you're going through physically, you already have that thing of, with once you're trying to tend to your house, trying to do certain things, and you just physically can't. You physically can't. Shaqetta, you went through having issues, I want to say, with your back, correct?
Right.
Your back. And so how did your physical pain affect your ability to physically do what you need, but also mentally? Because physical pain can weigh on your mental as well.
Well, I had a lower lumbar laminectomy. They cut the back of my spine and had to go in there, but pretty much I was like wasn't able to like do anything for a couple of months. So like I said, I have an 11-year-old, and it was kind of hard, but thankfully I put it where I could have the surgery like over the summer. So she was pretty much with her grandma during that time. So that allowed me to be able to schedule that to where it was just like me, but still there were things that I needed done for myself. So and then I'm the type of person where I'm the person that people come to for help. And like, if I'm down, like, who am I going to call for help, that sort of thing. So it's like, well, I don't want to ask for help because I don't like bothering people. So I had to get out of that mindset of I'm bothering people when I know there's plenty of people out there that are come and help me. So that it still was like a mental battle with that. And how I got to that point was from the trauma was from the accident that led me to that point. So that kind of being still like that, it'll bring a lot of things to your mind when you're going through physical pain like that. It's easy to sit around and things just continually go through your mind. So I had to keep myself encouraged in the process. And one of the things that I did was the writing and reading, because I've always done that at a young age. As far as writing, it has always been a coping skill. So I like to encourage people. People like, I can't do this or do that like you do it, but sure, you can write something down on paper, even if it's just your thoughts. That's an outlet in itself, being able to just write down your thoughts. Even if you don't have that person in your life you can trust yet, you still have pen and paper. So I say start with that.
Yeah. You know what? And that is one of the things that kind of got me through a lot. Probably how I kind of ventured over into writing. Even as a little girl, that was something I would do. I would write, I would journal, and never would say I had a diary, but I did have a journal where I would journal. And as I got older, I found more that I could go in deeper in prayer doing prayer journaling. So I used to love to prayer journal. And so it was certain things, but I did go back and I found like a journal from once I was younger, and I ended up burning it because once I started scanning through it, I realized that it was so much stuff that I had been through, so much stuff that I was holding in, so much stuff that my young eyes had seen, right? And Ra-Quel, I know Faith, her young eyes had seen something very tragic from a lady in the neighborhood. Can you tell us about Faith's encounter then, and how it kind of affects us once we experience certain things, certain trauma, certain tragedies? And let me go back. Once I say young, let me go back and actually say it also affects us as adults once we experience some type of trauma, and once we experience certain things. And though we may have a moment to where we can bounce back a little, it might take to we give more grace to adults to bounce back. And some of us, we have some word, we have something for the Holy Spirit to pull up to kind of give us some scriptures. We have some type of wisdom and stuff. But sometimes as children, we mistake kids as being resilient, thinking that they're real resilient in certain things. And it's not that it's resilient. We just occupy their minds with other things, or they don't even truly process the tragedy, the trauma that they just endured or experienced. So going back to that, Ra-Quel, let's talk about Faith and her traumatic experience with the lady in the neighborhood.
Okay. Being from the city, she living in the projects, and I think she was around 5 or 6 years old. She's pretty much independent, not really watching a lot of TV, so she wasn't like, seeing a lot of gory stuff on TV, especially a lot of blood. So to see this lady at the mailboxes, she's going to go check the mail for her mom. And then this old lady comes down, and she see these people approach her, and they're just beating her up. And then all you see is just all this blood, and imagine that as a child. You can't unsee that because it starts to resonate with you as you get older. You're still thinking about it, reliving it. And it's scary, because what do you do? And then I think one of the guys approached Faith and said, "Come here, little girl." She's scared, but then what she does is, run, tells her mom. Of course, the cops are calling. They're eventually, caught and everything. But then, for a few days, there's still blood splatter under the mailboxes. And it's scary. She doesn't want to go outside for a while because it's scary, not knowing what she's going to encounter. And then not too long after that, the lady, she did pass from, I would say, from her incident, later on. But it's just I think the blood is what really scared her, and then not knowing what to do at the time, and then thinking the person, the man that approached her was going to kill her too. She's just a little girl. What does she do? First things, go run tell mommy, you know. And that's exactly what she did. And years later, she's telling this story as if it happened yesterday.
Yeah, it's sometimes once trauma is attached to something, the story is a little bit more vivid. Once some type of emotions are attached to a memory, it is more vivid. But the spirit of fear. I remember going through certain things in my adulthood. Now I kind of go back and say, okay, when did the spirit of fear enter into you? When did anxiety enter into you? And I realized that some of the stuff had came from my childhood. But the spirit of fear is traumatizing, and it comes in different ways and different levels to fear, right? Shaqetta, I think you in your chapter talked about the fear of the police knocking on the door.
Yeah. That part was from when from the car accident that I was in. It was the police officers that showed up at my door. I think it was like, I want to say that following year after the accident, because I was found at fault. So they were basically taking me to jail for vehicle homicide, which is like a charge of, I believe, 2 to 10 years in Alabama. But I was able to beat that charge. But there was still some kind of fear behind that. Every time I see the police around here, I'm like, well, they coming for me or something like that. But it's just one of those things, you just one of those vivid things. Yeah.
Yeah, when fear actually entered into me was actually in Montgomery, Alabama. I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. But once we was getting ready to move here where we're at, where my husband, he's still active duty military. So we're down by Fort Benning, Georgia, which is also called Fort Mordale, right? And so being stationed here, at first we was in a different location. So I would go to Huntsville, and then, me and a couple of my family members will come up this way, which is Fort Mitchell is by Phoenix City, Alabama, by Opelika, or whatever in that area, right, Shaqetta? And so, but each time that we would drive, we'd go from 65, and then I have to get on 85. And once we were drive around a certain point, I would feel like an anxiety attack. Did not know where it was coming from. One time once we was coming down, my mom had went to sleep, and my aunt, she knew I was tired. So my aunt said she would drive back, who was doing kind of a turn and burn. So it's like a 4-hour drive from this area to Huntsville. So as we're coming through, when we're passing Jackson Hospital, I heard Holy Spirit say, look up. And I looked up and I seen the hospital, and I said, is that the hospital where Uncle Peanut died at? And she said, yes. And then that's once I understood that that's my anxiety had entered into me in that location. And so the next time that I drove through there, then I started casting out the spirit of anxiety. So once I was 15 years old, I had a uncle, and he was murdered in front of me, but he was standing up for me, whatever, from where someone had called me out my name, something that you just don't call a little girl, that I had no idea who were, or what these people, like, we had never seen these people before. So, and my uncle was trying to get the person to apologize to me for calling me outside of my name. And so in that altercation, my uncle was killed. And so, but fear and anxiety entered into me in Montgomery, Alabama. So whenever I was going through that area, through Montgomery, Alabama, coming through Jackson, coming past, because you could see Jackson Hospital off the interstate. So as I was passing through there, I was picking back up where that spirit had first entered into me. And so, and they said everything's not a spirit, but some things is, and that definitely was one. definitely was one. And I realized that that's also once I realized there was layers to anxiety as well. But that was one of my biggest things. And so sometimes we have to go back and we have to address what happened to us in certain things of, hey, where did this enter into me? Where did this come from? Where is this in my bloodline? Like, you know, realizing, hey, some of this stuff is in my bloodline. Some of this stuff was trying to get passed down to me. Some of this stuff was trying to enter in. I have to cut it. I have to stop it. I have to stop it. So with that, I'm going to just give y'all a moment. Like, is there anything that y'all want to release before I ask y'all one final question? So I'm gonna go over to you first, Ra-Quel. Just if there's anything you have for the people, anything you want to encourage, anything that you want to that you may even want to ask Shaqetta or ask me. So we just gonna have a quick pause real quick. Go ahead. And it's interesting that your shirt says Faith. I just realized that when she leaned back. I just realized that it was something written on your shirt. Anyway, go ahead.
That was on purpose. You know?
Wow.
Gosh, we should have saved me for last. But a lot of the things Shaqetta talked about, I definitely can resonate with. I can't think of anything right now, but I probably will after the fact. But I just encourage people just to continue to have faith, you know, keep that resilience and, you know, just believe in God and pray fervently, you know, and use your experiences to help other people because, you know, we forgive, you know, forgiveness is for us, you know, and then our experiences, I've been told this, you know, most of my life growing up, and I'm like, well, I gotta go through this, you know, but I was told that, you know, you're going through this because you're going to help somebody else. And, you know, like Shaqetta said, like writing is like my sanctuary. If I'm not, you know, in the gym or if I'm not, you know, sitting here writing poetry or just, you know, just praying, oh gosh, I feel like I just have so much to say. I'm going to have to save it for the conference. But I'm really enjoying this experience. And I just hope that, you know, everything that we've written in this book will definitely help as many people as possible.
Amen. Amen. Shaqetta, what do you have to say? Come on, mental health coach.
I was looking at something that I wrote that I wanted to read. It's not real long. I just wanted to read a little short part of here. It says, not everyone has the same journey, nor will we all experience the same journey in the future. But we must all come to our own conclusion about getting professional help, whether it be from your primary doctor, psychiatrist, a counselor, a mental health coach, or all four. We must not neglect our mental health. God wants us to become free from every parasite that has taken hold of our minds and whispered lies to us. Also, he wants us to be free from what seeks to devour our purpose, hopes, dreams, visions, goals, and all we aspire to be in life. So that'll be my ending encouragement to the people. Just reach out for help. You may need more than one source of help. I know Tish had mentioned prayer earlier. Prayer is good, but we still need some other sources of help, and they are out there. A lot of times we may feel ashamed in getting help, but it's that getting help is what's going to help you to be the person that God had created you to be. And just because you're seeking mental help, that doesn't make you any less of a person than anybody else. Actually, you're becoming stronger when you do that. Others may see you as being a weak person, but the word tells us when I'm weak, then I'm strong. So I just want to encourage the people, just, you know, take care of your mental health like you do any other part of your body.
I like that. I'm going to piggyback off Shaqetta real quick. Once it comes to mental health and stuff, you have to realize that, and I think we said it on another one of the episodes with I'm Not Okay, is that you have to realize that sometimes you need a pastor and a therapist. Sometimes you need the spiritual, but you also need the natural. And please understand that some pastors are not equipped
Exactly.
to help you to the level or to the capacity that you need psychologically. And so it's okay to go and get mental health. It's okay to have a therapist. It's okay to say, you know what, I need someone that I can talk to on a deeper level that is going to help me understand what's going on cognitively, just going to help me understand what's going on in the mental. We have to understand, even the Bible says first natural, then spiritual. Sometimes you need to understand it naturally. One of the things that we will be doing at the conference that I'm charged with is, though we're talking about mental health and mindset shifts, and we're talking about deliverance, before each segment, before we even go into the praise and worship, I'm coming in and I will hit it at the natural level. I will talk about mental health naturally. Then we'll go into praise and worship. Then it will be spoken on from a spiritual aspect. Why? Because sometimes we need to understand naturally what is going on with us so we can be able to grasp it and begin to shift it once it comes spiritually. So I will actually be doing that on Saturday before each one. So before we go into mindset shift mentally, I'm going to hit it from the natural. Before we go into mental health, I'm going to hit it naturally. Even before we go into deliverance, believe it or not, you can back deliverance up with psychology. And so I'm going to hit it naturally before we actually go into it to make sure that you get what you need spiritually. And so we're everything. Another thing Shaqetta said that I want to piggyback on is that we have to realize everything that we put on the inside of us is fuel. It's fuel for our body, whether it's food, whether it's the lotion that we put on our skin, whether it's the music that you listen to, whether it's the TV shows that you watch, and even sometimes the words that your ears hear you speaking, what you release out of your mouth. Everything that you release, everything that you receive is fuel. Pay attention to what you're feeding yourself, because what you feed yourself can actually affect you mentally. Think about it. It's some music that you can listen to. So let me tell you, I hadn't always been saved, and I ain't always been Prophetess Tish.
Right.
Definitely had I only been Dr. Tish here for a little bit, right? Um, for a little piece in a change. So let me tell you. So I used to listen to Lil Jon, right? And Lil Jon had some songs that make you just want to fight in the club. I don't know why fights broke out. Jon, it made you want to fight. It was something about Killer Mike that made you say, you know what, I ain't never scared. It was something about certain songs that made you want to do certain things. Come on, R. Kelly. Y'all better act like y'all know, right? And so it's some stuff that begin to pay attention to what you're listening to, because it's also certain songs, Keisha Cole, that will put you through it. It will put you through it, and mentally you're going through all these emotions on the inside of you, and you don't understand why. Well, it's because what you're actually feeding your spirit. It's what you're actually listening to. So you need to, I ain't gonna say you gotta listen to nothing but gospel, but also pay attention to the secular songs, to the message, even the message of your gospel songs, because some of them gospel songs ain't nothing but a woe is me story. And I need something that's going to encourage me, uplift me, empower me, and help me push forth. I need something that's going to push out my faith, that's going to strengthen the faith in me at that time, versus something that's going to allow me to sit on the pot and just feel some type of emotion. Process your emotions, but also understand you got to push through that thing. Pay attention to what you're looking at. Pay attention to what you're watching. Got it. It was times where I was watching a thing. It was Shaqetta. You remember the thing, Camille Cupcake? I can't remember her last name. The little girl in Birmingham that he got that it was. They ended up later finding her in a dumpster. It made national news, right? This time I was staying in Virginia. But I'm telling you, morning, noon, and night, I was following this story about this little girl that was abducted. Her name was Camille, and her nickname was Cupcake. And I was following this story, and I fell into a big depression when she was found. Once she was found unalive, right? And it was because what I had been feeding in my spirit for so long. Listen, some people sit there and watch watch soap operas, watch Tyler Perry shows, watch all types of drama and stuff all the time, and you wonder, this, why am I going through this? You're wondering why once a dude do something, this, that, another, you about to snap. Well, you just sat there and watched the whole marathon of Snap. That's why you snap, because you're telling your body this is how you respond once this happened to you, right? Versus once you're reading scripture, you telling your body this, you're telling your mind this is how you respond once you go through trials and tribulations. This is how you look and say it was good that I was afflicted. It was, this is how you go through and you have that mindset. But once you sit there watching Victor Newman and all them, they're gonna tell you how to respond. They're gonna tell you how to respond. So who's telling you how to respond? Is TikTok telling you how to respond, or is the Word of God telling you how to respond? Watch what you put inside your spirit. Watch what you put inside your body, not physically, but mentally, emotionally as well. So I wanted to leave. Listen, congratulations, best-selling authors. Before we get out of here, Ra-Quel, let them know how they can reach out to you if they want to order the book, how they can order books from you as well. And then after that, Shaqetta, follow up behind her as well and let her know how they can reach out to you.
Okay, you can reach me out on Facebook under Ra-Quel Johnson. My name Ra-Quel Johnson. Also on Instagram as Just Me Quell, and is just.me.quell. And as far as reaching out to me, you can reach out to me at 760-586-2026. You can text me, call me, or message me on Facebook.
You can message me on Facebook. You can email me at greaterloveministries18@outlook.com, or you can also my ministry page on Facebook, Greater Love Ministries 18 at Outlook. Well, Greater Love Ministries 18 on Facebook as well.
Awesome. So make sure you reach out to them. Make sure you get a copy for them. Reach out to them and figure out, hey, can I order a book from you? Listen, the difference between ordering from them and ordering from Amazon is that they can sign it. So you can get it personally signed from them. So make sure you reach out to them and get a book personally signed by our authors in here. Both of their chapters is good. You'll get a chance to hear Faith, the story from Faith as well that Ra-Quel had permission to share. And so I'm glad that Faith gave Ra-Quel permission to share that story in this anthology. So you'll be able to hear that. Also, Shaqetta's chapter, I Need Help. And I'm telling you that is good, because let me tell you, some of us, we need help as even our kids. I need help. And so some of that, listen, I appreciate you girls from coming out. We hope to see you as well. For those that are still watching, we actually hope to see you in Huntsville, Alabama. If you have not, make sure you go out, get your tickets at www.ferventlyevents.com for the Renewed Mind in Christ Conference, June 21st, June 23rd in the Huntsville, Madison, Alabama area. We would love to see you there. And with that being said, we are going to exit out of here, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, Tish.
Thank you.